The intricate dynamics between students and artificial intelligence, AI, are becoming increasingly evident, raising important questions about academic integrity and the essence of the student experience. Imagine stepping into a university library where the glow of computer screens reveals a familiar sight. A bright white interface asking, "What can I assist you with today?" Students might request a summary of a literature review for an upcoming tutorial, verify their calculations before a math class, or, in a bolder move, ask the AI to draft an entire essay for them. Since its debut in 2022, ChatGPT, a sophisticated generative AI, Gen AI, chatbot capable of engaging in human-like dialogue and producing content, has significantly altered discussions around academic honesty, plagiarism, and the very nature of being a university student. Institutions nationwide have issued statements and guidelines regarding the use of Gen AI. Yet the reality of student interactions with these tools is far from straightforward. While some students view AI as a helpful companion in their studies, others prefer to keep their distance. Today's students have the luxury of exploring various Gen AI chatbots to find the one that best suits their academic requirements. Following the launch of ChatGPT, other platforms like Gemini and DeepSeek have emerged, each offering unique features and limitations. Academics hold diverse views on the appropriate use of Gen AI chatbots in higher education, with some advocating for their complete avoidance. For instance, in a recent article in the Irish Times, Trinity College lecturers Claire Kelly, Katja Bruch, and Katrina Leahy expressed their belief that they have a responsibility to resist the integration of AI into academic work. Conversely, Alan Smeaton, a computing professor at Dublin City University, DCU, argues for a more balanced perspective, suggesting that students should learn to utilize AI as a tool rather than banning it outright. But what do students themselves think? Those who are now entering their fourth year of study have had access to Gen AI chatbots since their first year, making their experiences particularly relevant. Take Ruth McGee, a 21-year-old from Dundalk, Co Louth, who began her arts degree in history and media at Maynooth University last year. One of her initial lectures focused on plagiarism, featuring a significant discussion about AI. "Given the nature of my degree, the lecturers are quite opposed to AI," McGee explains. "A lot of my coursework revolves around honing writing and reading skills." Despite this, she acknowledges that many students do use AI tools. These kinds of resources have existed in various forms for ages. Before, there were questionable essay writing services, or students would sometimes ask classmates to do their work. But this is different. McGee admits she hates to confess that she once turned to ChatGPT for help with an assignment. "I was struggling to come up with ideas for a specific essay topic, so I used it to generate some thoughts, and that was about it." However, when she fact-checked the suggestions provided by ChatGPT, she discovered that some of the information was inaccurate. Ironically, in an assignment where she did not use any Gen AI assistance, she was suspected of having done so. "I was told that the last few paragraphs seemed suspicious due to their writing style," she recalls. "But I assure you, I didn't use a chatbot. It was just poorly written. I had added a new source at the end." She chose not to contest the suspicion, reasoning that it was the final assignment of the summer and she had a busy schedule. "I passed the module, so I thought it best to let it go." Like many of her peers, McGee has mixed feelings about the role of Gen AI in academic work. "I understand that if you're commuting to college and juggling a part-time job, finding the time to write an essay can be incredibly challenging and stressful." On the flip side, she believes that if a student chooses a particular degree, they should be willing to put in the necessary effort. If you use ChatGPT for an essay or assignment, or even just a part of it, and you manage to get a better grade than someone who genuinely worked hard, I don't think that's fair. Similarly, Aithing Clancy, a 22-year-old from Dublin who recently completed her degree in history and political science at Trinity College Dublin, has observed a growing reliance on Gen AI among her classmates throughout her university years. When she began her studies in 2021, AI wasn't as prevalent as it is for students starting college today. However, by her third and fourth years, she noticed a significant uptick in the number of students utilizing AI for academic assistance. Throughout her degree, Clancy consciously avoided using AI and never registered for ChatGPT. In fact, she admits to feeling quite apprehensive about the potential repercussions of using AI-generated work. Morally, I find it difficult to justify using Gen AI. If you've worked hard to get into college, you should want to engage with the course material. Offloading that responsibility to AI seems to contradict the essence of self-learning that college represents. Clancy acknowledges that her decision to avoid Gen AI may have placed her at a slight disadvantage, as she knows others likely used it for inspiration and ideas. However, she believes that AI would not have been particularly beneficial for her dissertation, which focused on Irish legislation regarding rape during the 1970s and relied heavily on archival research she conducted herself. I don't think a chatbot would have been much help, she states. The discourse surrounding Gen AI among students extends beyond academic studies. It has also permeated extracurricular activities. Since graduating, Clancy has taken on the role of editor-in-chief at Trinity News, one of the university's student newspapers. She has decided to adopt a firm editorial policy against the use of Gen AI by students contributing to the publication. We are in the process of updating the Trinity News Style Guide to clarify that AI-generated articles are not permitted or encouraged, she explains. Of course, it's challenging to enforce a policy that prohibits using AI for idea generation, as there's no way to monitor that comprehensively. However, we can at least commit to not publishing AI-generated pieces or artwork. While there are software tools designed to detect AI-generated content, they are not infallible. Another Trinity student, Nick Corcrine, a 22-year-old from Wexford, has experienced disagreements during group projects regarding the use of Gen AI. As an environmental science and engineering student, she notes, it's often apparent when people rely on AI for calculations or conclusions, as they tend to be very basic and lack critical analysis. Nick Corcrine began her college journey in the same year that ChatGPT was launched. In my first semester, no one was using it, but by the second semester, the shift was dramatic. Everyone was utilizing it for everything. She expresses particular concern about the environmental implications of AI. In my studies, I learn extensively about climate change and the impact of data centers on the environment, especially regarding their water consumption. She argues that the reliance on AI may hinder critical thinking skills among students. Those who frequently use Gen AI often struggle to see alternative perspectives. It's concerning because the world is not simply black and white. Moral and political issues are often complex and nuanced. While Nick Corcrine refrains from using Gen AI for assignments or research, she has utilized it to organize bibliographies and create study schedules. For others, AI represents a valuable opportunity rather than a threat. Eoin Collins, a 19-year-old from Galway, studying electrical engineering at the University of Galway, has been leveraging AI to develop an app he envisions as a study companion for students. This app aims to transform PDFs, notes, and exam papers into structured study guides and revision exercises. Many of the manual tasks I was doing weren't effectively aiding my learning, Collins explains, referring to activities like creating flashcards and planning for exams. His app, StudySmith, analyzes all the materials in your course and organizes them to support your learning throughout the semester, rather than just answering questions in the moment. Collins' app seeks to harness AI to streamline the learning process, ensuring that students don't waste time or overlook important information. It handles the heavy lifting for us, he adds, noting that those who have tested the app find it pretty cool and a fun, innovative way to learn. When it comes to his own use of Gen AI in his studies, Collins tries to limit it to fact-checking, allowing it to serve as a second pair of eyes for reviewing his work, which he describes as a common practice among students. He observes that many students utilize AI to answer questions and assist with assignments, but educators have become increasingly cautious, with some opting to shift homework assessments to in-class evaluations to mitigate the use of Gen AI chatbots. However, Collins notes that this approach varies by lecturer. I even had an assessment last semester where we were instructed to use ChatGPT for a specific task, just to evaluate its performance. Dr. Mary Claire Kennedy, chairperson of the National Academic Integrity Network, NAIN, established in 2019 by the state agency Quality and Qualifications Ireland, QQI, emphasizes that threats to academic integrity have existed since the inception of education and will continue to emerge. We cannot predict what the next challenge will be, she states. Kennedy mentions that QQI has developed guidelines for educators that have proven instrumental for universities and training providers in shaping their policies. However, she believes there is still work to be done to enhance student awareness of Gen AI guidelines. Even if your institution has a guideline on Gen AI, about a third of learners are unaware of it. While institutions strive to implement effective policies and best practices, the integration of these guidelines into everyday practice requires further attention. Kennedy acknowledges that developing these guidelines takes time, and translating them into practice is the next crucial step. It will be interesting to see how this evolves over the coming year. Educators are aware of the practices occurring on the ground, she notes, and suggests that rather than adhering to traditional methods of policing and prohibition, educational practices and attitudes toward higher education should adapt to align with technological advancements. There will always be a need for secure assessments where the possibility of AI use is eliminated, ensuring confidence in a student's knowledge and skills. It's a delicate balancing act. Regarding how various disciplines can navigate these complex issues, Kennedy advocates for the adoption of good practice principles, allowing experts within each academic field to provide feedback and guide the evolution of their disciplines as they come to terms with the implications of Gen AI.